want to do. And
I guess I missed that price because last meeting, I remember us even talking about when we were going to vote on that.
you have that with you, Matt?
Yeah, it was about 32,700 for both sides, and then if you were just to do the east side, it was 16,300, and that's just from on the Melville section.
And the other one was from spring to autumn on Houston, which you have that.
Yeah, it was about 41,200. That one's got a little bit of challenges to it, just because there's a lot of utility poles, about 3.5 foot off the back of curb, and then we've got trees right on the right-of-way line. So it won't be your typical straight sidewalk as you normally see right at the back of the right-of-way line. I think we're gonna have to snake around to get it to fit. There also could be a utility or a telephone pedestal that may need to be moved. I measured it today, it's about 4 foot 2 inches between the two, so it's cutting it pretty close for a 4-foot sidewalk. Not something that, you know, we can't work around it, but it's just not gonna, it looked kind of like, if you're familiar with Van Wees and Brentwood, where you had to go around a couple trees, so then it snuck right to the back curve, and then it curved back around the tree, and then it, you know, then continued on its way. Putting it right at the back of curb, just like the north side, you're gonna have to move 5 to 6 utility poles, because all those poles run right at the back of curb, and we're probably gonna have to reset a couple intake boxes, because they're tipped a little bit, and it wouldn't be ADA compliant to walk over the top. So.
That's all I got. I did.
So total, we'd be talking like 74,000?
Yes, if you were to do both sides of Melville and all of, from
All
Autumn
Houston.
to Spring on the south side. And that does include replacing a couple driveways on Melville. ADA requirements is the cross slope of those has to be at 2% or less, and those driveways are from 3% to 8%. So it gets too steep, so if you're dragging your wheelchair across, you're gonna wanna tip and roll down, and it wouldn't be compliant.
So on Melville, are we talking both the east and the west side to connect?
That's one of the options, yes. So if you just did the
What
east side.
would it cost on, say, by Leslie, where Leslie lives,
Yes.
which is on the east side?
Yes, that's about 16,300, so 16,300. So you'd be looking about, just right around 50,000 if you did the east side of Melville and from Autumn to Spring on Houston.
Okay. And not do the west side of
Not be the
Melville?
west side. The west side there's.
I forget how far down is that? That goes down till it hits the sidewalk. Where's that sidewalk start on?
Both are missing 2 houses.
Yeah, they're both
Right
only
there.
2 houses, 2
Yeah,
properties.
It's 250 feet south of Houston,
On the west side?
on both sides.
Both.
They both stop right at the property line.
Oh, okay.
And unfortunately, as you go on down, both stop again. One stops at the parking lot on the
Yeah.
east side, and then the west side stops there at the middle of the church. It doesn't connect back up past Stockdale's.
Have you, maybe there's a third option, have you figured out what the cost could be from just going on Melville on the west side and then running from Melville to Autumn on that side,
I'm trying,
on the south side of Houston?
right.
Is that sidewalk still between the houses that goes to the school further down on Melville,
Yes,
Yeah,
on the east side?
Yep.
yes.
between Mark Crook's house, isn't it, and whoever the neighbor is.
I could run those numbers real quick and bring them back for your next council meeting. I'll be back for the first pay estimate of, for Norris project, so it's something I can look into.
What does it do to take a change order, write a change order? I mean,
Well, just, I mean, you can approve it, or if you could approve the dollar amount, then I can bring back a change order to you. Or we can just overrun the quantities, because we're gonna use unit costs of the project, and then we can do the change order towards the end. But we'll wanna know the approximate dollar amount before proceeding. And the other option too would be to look at what it would cost to fill the gap further south. So you have a continuous sidewalk. I'm sure, I mean, you've got to run it by Andy today, but I'm sure he's not gonna mind when he's in town.
I know my preference was while we were in there anyway on that Melville-Houston corner to go ahead and connect at least one side of that street so that there's a sidewalk through there. Now on Spring, at least on one side, or sorry, on the kind of going back east there on Houston back towards Spring, there's at least one side of Houston that has a sidewalk, the north side. So I understand wanting it on the south side, but at least we have it on one side. But as you go into Melville, neither side has a sidewalk there that connects. So I thought while we were in there, let's go ahead and at least connect one side, which would be my preference. And I don't really care which side, even though I think it makes a lot more sense with the church being there. And we're a lot closer to connecting that west side than we are the east side as we go on down.
Yeah, because east side at the church, that parking lot, we don't own any, I don't know that we own any right-of-way. I mean, our right-of-way, I think, is right through their parking,
Yeah.
and they'd lose all the parking along the street.
Yeah, all we'd have is that one empty field and one section of Stockdale's property right there, then that wouldn't be connected compared to if you did on the east side, you'd have that whole area down through the church parking lot.
So there is like a little landscaping, garden type thing sitting on, I believe it's on 411 at ours. But, I mean, it's in the right of way, but, so I don't see it being an issue, but that's something that would need to be relocated or something.
Well, if we're going to do the west side, you want him to look at up by the church and just get a price of what it would take to get one all the way up to cross over and get into the school? Is that what your point, what you mean?
Well, I mean, ideally that'd be great sometime, but this project was kind of, hey, we're already in there. We're already going to be messing up with that
Yeah.
curb right there and the crosswalks there, so we might as well do it while we're in there was
Right.
my thought.
Right.
Would it be more logical to put it on the east side, because then there's a sidewalk that goes over to the high school between Crooks and whoever else is up there? Dewey?
That's the other side of the argument. It is a good point. We just have a large section of that where we won't have any sidewalk still going down that way.
I'm not
Yeah,
sure
it
how
goes
we
through
go
that
through.
parking lot.
We would ruin their whole parking lot along the street, all them parking stalls, to stay in our right of way.
what do you people want to do?
The other drawback to the west side is there's a good chance that we may have to rip up a portion of that brand new driveway that was just poured. Because I'm guessing it's too steep. But that's not a big deal.
Which house
I
is
believe
that?
that was Ganesh. Is that, or am I a block off? No, I think I was just on there. I think they just poured the return. Their driveway.
When do you need an answer by on this?
Oh, I mean, they're gonna be finishing up patching the next probably 2 weeks and then overlaying, and then they've got all of those intersections to do, so. The next, council meeting or two would be ideal. Ideally, it'd be at your next council meeting, you come to a consensus on what you wanted to do so we could let them know, and then we could approve the change order of the following.
Okay.
So are we looking at aesthetics or safety? I guess that's the question. And surely there's something we can do with the parking lot from the church.
You can take a look at it. I mean, we can take a, I can take a look after the meeting, I can drive by, and then we can look at the GIS data and see what you got room, what you don't got room, and then we can look on the west side and see how much extra footage you need to get you a fully connected sidewalk. And then what it would look like to get you across into the, so you could cross Melwood at some point.
I figure there's a way we probably can connect that east side. It may have to go a little bit further east to connect up and go up, kind of up through that, that part is pushed up a couple steps. You might have to move up to that as you go the east side. My problem on that was that we're probably going to spend $50,000-$60,000 on that sidewalk to pour it that long through there instead of using one that's already most of the way done.
I don't know how many people use that little sidewalk between the houses. They really just have to go a few more houses down to go to Van Wees and to the high school.
I would prefer not to have to move any poles.
Yeah.
That's my thing.
And the other downside to that is the likelihood of getting those poles moved in a timely fashion.
Yeah.
At least my experience with other utilities.
Is that a cost to us?
Well, it'd probably be a part of the project cost, more
Oh.
likely. And I don't know, if they're all Alliant poles, or if there's just, if some of them are ours, or.
I think
we
they,
just
I
have-
think they have to relocate them.
I think we probably would have to pay for it though, because within the sidewalk.
It's our right of way though to use.
Usually, it probably depends on what's in your franchise agreement with the utility. I'm guessing it's Alliant, and you've probably got MediaCom on top of there too.
Yeah.
And everything else.
Can I say something? Somebody lives right there. You
Go
still
ahead.
got sidewalks. Even if you do one side, you still got a dead-end sidewalk that goes nowhere. And I would think it'd be better to take them both down, because you're going clear from Van Wees all the way to Houston, then you end just there. There's nothing there on either side. And that's where that sidewalk that goes to school. I've never seen anybody use that sidewalk.
I don't know why that got there. There's a lot of kids in that street or something.
Before and after school, that sidewalk is used quite a bit.
Does it?
During football games.
Sure.
Football games, does it? Okay, I just don't go there at times, I guess.
You need to go to
Well,
football
if we want
games.
to talk, if we want to connect down to Autumn, then I would prefer that it stays on the west side, on west side on Melville, and then connect down to Autumn.
No, then you still got a sidewalk on that side that goes nowhere. It's
Well,
just dead end.
no, if you go down to Autumn, you got the sidewalk right there in the mall.
From our neighbor to Houston, there's nothing there. So you
No,
still-
I'm saying stay on the other side, not on your side, on the other side.
I see what you're saying to connect that, but I'm still saying then the sidewalk on our side still is the sidewalk to nowhere. I mean, it splits.
Well,
So you
yeah,
stay on the sidewalk
not,
still.
not
You're
touch,
gonna-
not touch that one, or just bring that up to the end of Melville and let them cross there.
Well, it just, to me, you got sidewalks that end and they go nowhere. It just makes sense to join those together.
Somewhere.
Depends on how much money you want to spend on them. What it amounts to. So what do you guys want to do?
You want to get us the figures that Hans talked about,
Yep, so running it on the
west side?
from where the sidewalk stops on Melville, all the way around to Autumn. Is that what I understood?
I think so, yeah, then it just kind of would make a loop somehow if you got on the right side.
I mean, that to me might make sense right now, and then later on, we can connect, I mean, city guys can do on the east side, because that isn't that far of a stretch to get to your house.
Yep.
I don't, I'm just throwing it out there. Yes.
Oh, Mike, do you know when the poll's coming in for Pat Klein Park?
Yes, it's still on back order.
Back order.
Coming in. COVID hit that factory that was making them, and they were down for quite some time. Last time I talked to Mike, that's still, what did he tell me? I think November before ship date is to get here.
Anything else for Mike? All right, thanks. Yes?
Today I went to Des Moines. Tyler had his graduation from the academy. He will start on Saturday with Cody with his FTO, field training officer. We're looking around December when he'll be out on his own. I found out, I did not know beforehand, I found out today that he was the top shot in his class. So he was the top gun, so pretty impressive. We did our last part of this year's GTSB grant work this past weekend. They stopped over 50 cars. Got, I think, 2 OWIs, drunk drivers off the street, and a couple other warrant requests or warrant checks taken care of. And I think that's all I have.
Do you have anything for Jess?
Jess, I had one question about the extra stops you guys were doing. Was it still being pulled over for a specific reason, and not just a traffic stop on everybody at that point in time? That was
No, during those, we got to have probable cause to pull somebody over, so it could have been anywhere from taillights, brake lights, license plate light, anything that we can have a traffic violation on.
Okay, that's exactly what I thought. I just had a citizen asking me.
Yep,
so.
yep, nope. It was not it's probably been 15 years since we had one of those traffic safety checkpoints
Okay.
that we've done. Good 10 years, probably 15, so it's been a while. They still have those available if we want to do that. It just takes a lot more manpower that we don't have available.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jess.
Yep.
And congratulate Tyler from graduating and being a top gun. Is that with both rifle and pistol, or?
Pistol and shotgun, daytime and nighttime.
How many was in his class?
38.
All right. Sean?
Top Gun, being an instructor up there is not an easy achievement. They start scoring you with your bullseye targets and all the way through qualifications. So that's quite an accomplishment. It says a lot for him. So in no particular real building/fire, started working on what to do with the rental properties, going through some rental properties with Angela and reviewing them. With the whole COVID thing, I am not real keen on going into people's places and either getting it from them, or if I'm asymptomatic, giving it to them, mask or not. So trying to work out something that will still keep us on top of those and maintain some distancing. Worked with the contractor on the main store for Menards on their project. They're adding that third lane. And with the engineer on the storage building at Menards, worked with them on some questions they had regarding the projects. If you may have driven by Menards, they've already started their project there. Also worked with some contractors and engineers on upgrades to some other commercial properties, Target being one of them, on their rooftop units. Entered the fire reports for the month. I do have some stats that'll be getting out to you that will include the first half of the year, and then August broke down. Did send you out the email on NIMS, and we were discussing that before meeting. I'm following up on a couple of one-call projects, locates that came in. It seems we still have that problem, and it always will remain as far as I can feel about it. People call in their one-calls for different projects, and they won't get a permit. The one is doing concrete work, and the other one's putting a deck in, and I've not seen any permits, so I'm waiting to hear back. We did have a fire yesterday in a trailer, so I'll be working on that fire investigation and report. It's one that involves not just the fire department, but the police department as well, and we're working on that. Did review some plans for a roadway expansion project that's being done on private property that falls into my realm, and it looks like it's not going to be a problem. They'll get the green light on that when they decide to go ahead and go full forward with their project. And on Friday, I have the annual fire inspection at the elementary, junior, and senior high school. I worked it out with Nate Prickett. That's the day there's no kids in school. You just have the teachers, so we're going to have a better chance of getting in there without being around anybody. And also working on a proposal, reviewing a proposal for a daycare at that location for the staff themselves. And then on Friday, I'll be attending Chief Kramer from Burlington Police Department's retirement party.
Anybody have anything for Sean?
How are we moving along on that house that caught fire on Winter Street? Is he still at a standstill, or is he doing inside work that I don't see?
No,
No.
that's Pennington. Winter Street, I spoke with her. I'd have to look up the email. I'll pull it up, see what I can find, and then I'll forward you actually her reply. Tammy Starkey is taking care of that now. It was Brian Hopkins, husband, wife, but now.
Just changed hands.
Yeah, pretty much. I told her we need to get moving on that. I'm not going to put up with the standstill on it.
It just
And-
needs siding, doesn't it?
That's what it looks like.
Yeah, from the outside standpoint, it just needs siding. Inside, I have not been inside it in a little while, and they were gutting it on the inside. But I'll forward you what her reply was, so you've got that.
Okay.
How long are the building permits still only good for 6 months?
Yes, 180 days. And it's kind of one of those use it or lose it. If you don't get your work done or start in that 180 days, you start all over again and pay again.
On your rental inspections, and we talked about that this morning, about changing the code with self-inspection forms.
Yeah, yeah.
Can we send those out to let them do self-inspections and then follow up on them?
What I'm going to have to do is something along that lines is come up with some type of where the landlord inspects it and I give them their checklist, and then based on their response, maybe set something up. Dan and I had discussed when they're in between renters. We do have some properties that kind of bounce a lot of renters in and out. That would be a good time to get in there when no one's actually in there, just to do a review. Or maybe work something out with the tenant if they're a long-term tenant that, oh, you're going on vacation. Would it be all right if the landlord and I were to enter the property to do the review on the ones that are due? As of right now, the Iowa building officials, I still haven't seen a release email saying go back to doing physical in-person inspections.
Okay. Anybody have anything for Sean?
And then I see 314 is being taken care of, demolished. Pennington.
Oh, the one over on, yes, that was, he started at 12:30 on Monday. I stopped in there yesterday. He had probably 3/4 of it out and was still working on getting that out.
Is that the same guy that did Logan's
Yes,
property?
yes. And the one
Getting
that
good.
And he did ours.
did R3 here in
Yeah.
last year, I think it was.
Oh, he's getting business.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Sean.
Kelly, anything going on?
I just passed out the newsletter that's going out. We're working on the code codification that we do annually, so we'll have some ordinances coming to you to update things that were changed in the state code and maybe a few more things that we want to look at just in our local codes. Other than that, I'm doing the virtual league meeting, and I'm doing a training with our virtual, or with our agenda software, and I think that's getting close to being up and running so that you can look at the portal and hopefully be able to search agendas and minutes, and has some nice features that I think people will like, as far as linking things within minutes, back to documentation, and it'll just take a little bit more time to set it all up.
Leslie?
Been working with Spear Financial and doing our Performa, which has to go with our SRF loan application for that south lift station. Working on unclaimed property report, which has to be turned into the state. The actuarial report has been filed for a partial self-funding to the insurance division. And Angie's been working hard on the FEMA and the Iowa CARES Act, trying to get all that paperwork filed for them and answer their questions.
Anybody have any questions of Kelly or Leslie? All righty. Kathy, what do you got going on?
I just wanted to thank Sergeant Bogue. He volunteered to be a judge at the car show that was held at the mall a couple of weeks ago. And that's all I have.
Who ended up getting the top prize?
It was that little orange car that had the fringe around, the old,
Yeah.
I forget what they called that.
Like a, not a rad rod, but it was it had a lot of money in it, let's put it that way.
Yeah. It was by far the winner, I guess.
Yeah, that was a nice car.
Yeah,
It was a nice turnout, too.
it was.
And the week before that, the Humane Society had one over at the community park, and they had a real good turnout there, too. Andy?
I just had one more question for Mike. I forgot earlier. On the South Gear Road project, is that done, or what's left to be completed on that?
Now we're out of grid and they have to come in. I don't know the time frame. They have to let that set so long, and then they come in and have to do the diamond grinder. They'll bring the whole road, take it, smooth it all down.
Okay.
I don't know. I can check with Burlington and see. I don't know the time frame on how long that has to cure. I would think it would come in as soon as the grinding. Once the grinding's done, they blow the grass, reseal the grass. Check with
I-
see what time frame is and whatever.
I sure still feel that,
You will.
okay,
All they've done now is cut the grooves, epoxy the dowel rods in to hold it in position where it's at.
okay,
Diamond grinder will bring the whole road.
okay.
It'll take all the humps off down to leveling right above the dowel rod pins, so it'll be smooth and
Perfect, thank you.
Boys?
On the fall cleanup coming up, is there any limit on how many days ahead of time they can put stuff out?
Mike?
Just so people's not putting it out week two, way out in advance,
The newsletters are going out tomorrow,
Yeah.
and I would imagine they'll get there Friday or Saturday, and you'll probably see stuff out on Sunday or Monday. I think it's
7th.
7th,
the
yeah.
7th.
I was just wondering, they don't put it out way in advance and everything's looking trashy around.
We'll put it out that weekend before we start, but then a lot of things are before.
Yeah.
When it comes back in that morning, there's a lot of people, I don't know if they got by the garage or what, but a lot of people wait to go out.
You could put it out for spring cleanup.
Grace, you got anything?
I don't have a thing.
Al?
I'm good.
Okay. I got a question on my mayor thing that I'm part of. A lot of them's been asking about trick or treat, and I see in the newsletter we still got it advertised as Saturday, October 31st, from 5:30 to 7:30. So, anybody, families want to go out and do that, we don't really sponsor anything, but it's just the set hours. It's up to the parents to decide whether they want their kids to go. All right. Anyone wishing to address council matters that are not on the agenda tonight? Go to new business. Item number 1 is consider a resolution setting a public hearing on a proposal to enter into a sewer revenue loan and disbursement agreement and to borrow money thereunder in a principal amount not to exceed $1,189,000. Set the public hearing for next meeting.
Motion approved.
Support.
Motion with support. Any discussion? Roll call.
Crowner,
Aye.
Hightmeyer,
Aye.
Lees,
Aye.
Waterman.
Aye.
Christie.
Aye.
Carried. Item number 2 is consider switching cell phone carriers from Verizon to U.S. Cellular, and Brad can address that. You can see there's quite a bit of
Yeah,
savings.
so I got a call from US Cellular. He asked if he could bid our business. And he came in quite a bit under what we pay Verizon. If you look, the first year, we're going to pay about 60% of what we save is going to be needed for equipment, because a couple of our devices aren't compatible with them, particularly in our police cars. But then after the first year, we're going to save 7.16% of the bill. And then every year after, it's a 28.12% reduction, which comes out to $2,874.72 a year.
And the service-wise is,
Service-wise is actually better because it's unlimited everything. Instead of before, we were limited on the minutes we could use, and we would have people go over sometimes. And same with messaging. Like on the police phones, we didn't have unlimited messaging to try to keep the bill down. Theirs would go to unlimited, but because we have the cameras and stuff, message them sometimes, so that adds a cost to our bill. But everything's unlimited, so we don't have to worry about overages. This also still keeps us our priority if we have a natural disaster, to where the first responders will knock off the public to be able to use their equipment. And they offer the same kind of stuff as far as the mobile rigs. If the towers are taken out, they'll bring in a mobile rig and deploy them specifically for our police officers.
Brad, the only thing I didn't see, did they guarantee these rates for any certain amount of time?
No, I can definitely ask that. At the beginning when we were talking, it was going to be we couldn't renew our phones for every 2 years, which wasn't a big deal. But they changed that back to 1 year now. So, but there is no contract on this, so at any time if they raise the rates, we can switch back to Verizon. But I don't see these rates. Yeah, Verizon is just expensive.
And when you say there's no contract, or, I mean, there's got to be some kind of contract to be in, but is there a cancellation fee like we're having to pay to Verizon?
We do have, I should take that back. We have a year that we have to stay with them. Our rates are guaranteed for that year of the contract. But after that year is what I'm talking about, that the rates could essentially change. If you want, I can try to lock us in for a longer contract than that, see if he can keep us the price for a longer contract.
Well, it's just that the savings obviously comes in the future.
Yes.
And so if the price goes up year 2, then we're not going to see that.
Yeah,
savings.
you're still saving on the first year. Oh, what do we have? So $2,000. So we still save $874 the first year by going to this. But if you'd like, I can ask if we could take that term out longer.
I've done a lot of work with on the TV side with programs like this for business, and they will front load everything and give you the great deal to get you in, and then year 2,
This is the government rate.
Yep,
on US Cellular.
I'm with you, yeah. We were working military rates before, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but same thing, they, year one, get all our equipment, get everything in, oh yeah, it's a great deal, but then year two, well, you're up 50% year two.
Yeah. And I could take that term out longer. I just don't like keeping us into a contract
Yeah.
longer than I have to. But that's I can ask that because I never asked him how long that they'll definitely keep these prices.
And then does it auto renew, or you've got to go in and do a whole new
it just
contract?
goes away. They will renew if we purchase phones in that time frame or devices. It will on those lines renew an additional year. Basically, that $1,900 welcome package is what you're basically going to pay back if you leave after the first year.
Okay, so I figured we would pay that if we leave during the first year, but even after.
That's what I meant.
Okay,
During the first year.
okay.
But I will ask him, and I will shoot you an email on how long these rates are locked in for. I know they're good for the first year contract, but, after the first year, I don't know what it'll be.
How long have we been with Verizon?
Way before I was here. That was way back when we first started getting them in the cars, when you guys went from the Raycom radios to and that was back,
Went to Raycom in '01.
yeah.
I think we went to Verizon on the police department side, somewhere around, Alex was chief, so it was sometime after '03, so maybe
I think it was 04, 05.
6, you remember Al?
04, 05, I believe. Late 04, early 05,
Because
maybe.
you guys were on Nextel then, I remember, and then you switched the phones to Verizon too when you went to the police cars.
Well, maybe you can knock on Verizon's door and see if they can match this.
That was
Well, I
going to be
can
my
do
next
that.
question, if you approach them at all for an updated bid, or?
No, I haven't. I guess I got this back from them, and I did not contact Verizon. They could give us a better deal. We're grandfathered in on the rates we have right now with them. I guess we can see what they got to offer. Is this something maybe you want to table and me bring back to comparisons between the two, or?
Yes, and then see if US Cellular will extend how long we can lock in with them for.
Yeah, and I mean, if you guys want to go into a longer term, I'll see if we can do that. But I think they offer just the year term, but I'll ask him.
Then maybe Verizon, you can talk with them if they give us unlimited everything.
And I could see what that is. I'll contact our government rep and see what kind of update on pricing. I do know the equipment's cheaper with US Cellular. When we update equipment, it was a little bit cheaper too, but it's not that much off that I think it would make a big difference to you guys.
We'll see how hungry they are.
Yeah, will do. I will see what they can offer.
Brad, thank you for looking at this and trying to find the savings for the city. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem. I will
Dan,
get,
my suggestion to Dan would be that we add this to kind of a calendar for every year or 3 years or 5 years it gets reviewed. I'm not sure the last time that we went out and shopped these prices, but it sounds like it was due.
yeah, definitely. Well, I'll get back with you guys on the comparison between Verizon and US Cellular, and I'll see how long US Cellular will guarantee those rates for sure.
Okay. We don't have to table it. We'll just bring it back next time.
Okay, sounds great.
Thank you, Brad.
Thanks, Brad.
Thanks, Brad.
I can check. I have US Cellular, and we have unlimited for my family plan. If we don't go over a certain amount, we actually get money back.
Oh, see, they don't throttle us after a certain amount
No.
because we're public safety and the way the guy told me is he showed me how they don't make a profit off of us.
But that's worth asking to see if they do that also.
But I'll ask him.
If they pay back.
If you don't go over a certain amount of data a month, I'll ask him if that, he didn't bring that up, so. Yeah, so I'll ask him. Alrighty, I'll get you guys that information and get on the next council agenda.
Thanks, Brad.
Thank you, Brad.
Thanks, Brad. Item number 3 is to consider a 3-year right-of-way permit for Century Lane.
Motion approved.
Or,
Motion with support. Any discussion? Roll call.
Meyer, Hightmeyer,
aye.
Lees,
Aye.
Waterman,
Aye.
Christie,
Aye.
Crowner.
Aye.
Motion carried. Item number 4 is to consider payment to Snyder and Associates for an engineering service related to the Gear Avenue Trail project in the amount of $7,949.92.
Motion to approve.
Support.
A motion with support. Any discussion? Does that close this one out, Dan?
I believe, well, there'll be some retainage, because I know we owe Snyder we've been taking out 5%, so we owe that. They're waiting, I'm not sure they were going to reseed during the fall seed
That's
window,
right.
and see if if that comes up, so it isn't closed out, and it probably won't be for a month or two until they see what the seeding does, before we release the retainage to the contractor and to because it's a DOT project, we have retainage on the engineer as well, so.
Okay.
So this isn't closing it out, but it's close to being closed out.
Roll call.
Lees,
Aye.
Waterman,
Aye.
Christie,
Aye.
Crowner,
Aye.
Hightmeyer,
Aye.
Carried. Item number 5 is to consider quotes to repaint the water slides at the swimming pool. And we received a couple of quotes, one from Sold Water Slide for $23,294, and the other one for dryer painting, $25,380. Did these,
Brother Painting is the guy that painted our pool originally and that repainted it here a year ago. He's from up in northern Illinois, that's all he does. And the only other quote I could get was from, the other one's out of Texas. And they actually work with the company that we bought our slides from, and he uses a gel coat like what the factory puts on. And they're the ones I told you a meeting or two ago that he had cut slides a year ago. And I contacted their public works, and, I mean, it's only a year old, everything's fine now, but they both did give us a 3-year warranty on it, whichever one did it,
so they're both familiar with doing this type of work?
One guy, the guy we used a couple times, the other guy, I got him seen his work for,
What's your pleasure?
Was there a warranty with dryer? Did you send that as an email later?
Yes, I just got that this afternoon. I was looking at stuff and he had forgot to send it to me. I got that on
And he-
I was just wondering where this money, what pot this money was coming out of.
Probably hotel motel tax. We've got a little bit of money in there. Or would you say 83,000? We got about 80,000 in hotel motel.
Well, it definitely look like they need paint.
Mike, when you looked at these, the solid water slide quote lists a lot more repair functions that they're going to perform.
I'm not sure what he meant by that. He probably just used stuff that, he didn't actually come here. What he did was pull our pool plans up from the manufacturer where it's built and it's at, and he gives the quote off of the lighting it, gravity, alternate units. I don't know, because I don't see alternate units too much.
I mean, he's got 3 or 4 pages here of information of how he goes through and finds faults on the slides and fixes them. And it seemed like the other one only had, maybe 2 places said that they go through and caulk them. But
Dyer was here and went over with me, and that's what his concern was, the third one, the one that backed out. His concern to me then was if you don't sand it and feather it, and, he goes through that same procedure of
Yeah.
chips or anything, you build back up and fix before they actually do it. They pretty much told me all the same procedure. I think they're both have the same procedure of doing it, they're just 2 different materials of paint. One is Dyer's using some of what they spray oil tankers and ships with. And the other guy does a lot of coastal work with water boats with his, but it is the same, it's a gel coat, which is what originally was on the slide.
And when was the last time they were painted?
Never.
Never. Okay.
Which one would you feel comfortable with? And we're only talking a couple $1,000 difference.
I haven't seen where Dyer's has done something wrong when they come paint. He does good work. He's the one to let Randy know that before we paint the pool next time that the caulking and the joints and the pool floors does need to be removed and painted and redone. He checks all that stuff and he's here. We've had it here before, we've had no issues with him, I guess. I would feel comfortable with him. As far as the other guy, I can't say I wouldn't, but I haven't seen his crew or how he works or what. Dyer does all over Iowa, that's all it does for a living. That's why we do this. He doesn't.
And he's located out of where?
I don't know the city. He's up northern, Illinois, central northern Illinois, somewhere.
Stockton, yeah.
Stockton, Illinois.
When would this be done? This year or next spring?
You're gonna ask for quotes, I told him I need to get done this fall. That's what we'll come forward, they did too, to get a hold.
Okay.
Every time I was sick, we had stuff of rushing things and then trying to fill a pool up and use it.
Yeah, okay.
This fall, have it cleared and dried, and come in the spring, we'll be ready to roll.
I would probably feel more comfortable going with the guy that's familiar with the pool and does a lot of work around here, even though it's a couple of $1,000s higher. We've done that before with purchasing vehicles and what's your pleasure here?
I guess one more question. This isn't a thing that we could do ourselves? There's no way for us to get the paint and do it?
Not with the, no, I have no idea. I mean, the third quote was on Vogel, that has done some building painting stuff, and they sell epoxies and everything else. And when I explained to them that both of these companies said about straight epoxy, and they will fade within a year, and will hold up. Their guy was just gonna wipe the slide and paint it, and these other 2 companies said, no, this has to be overall sanded, top and bottom, even the rough part of the, underneath, and the horn, and the gas special sanders, reach in, and actually have to sand the whole slide will be sanded inside and out. To take the slickness or the shine off of what's there. I mean, it's all that dullness, you can rub your hand, it's all chalky. These 2 companies said you cannot wipe that down and paint that. It's the same problem that Fun City had, and actually the Dyer's guy, he's the one that just got them redoing parts of said he had put new slides in, and he did part of their floating river deal, the epoxy floor and concrete's coming up, that camera and clean that up, and then we self-level it, and he said it's just gonna be, every year, there'll be a little bit more that keep peeling off, because the original people who put it down did not put it down correctly.
I guess I haven't been over to the pool for the last few years. Are all these 3 slides heavily used? They are? Okay.
I'd feel comfortable going dryer.
Dryers also explained to me that if it don't get put on properly, that within a year it starts chipping and flaking, then do a rehire, you probably double the price, because they're gonna have to sand off everything that somebody put on to get back to the base of the fiberglass to start with. With these being all original, it's just gonna be their sanding of the original paint and chopping these off, and then they can take off with them.
I'd feel comfortable dryer.
Diamond Bowl, they decided to just, I told them, I don't want any hard feelings with them, because I do business and they do good work, what I have them do, and that's where we get our traffic paint, but after 3 discussions with them, they decided to step out because they don't want to have a bad relationship with us or have something go wrong. They said they would definitely warranty it, but then they would have to find somebody to sand all that off to put onto the rag. So in working with them, they decided what they found out about it themselves.
And you feel this needs to be done before next summer?
I think dryers is one thing too, it's best to get it now, get it cured before freezing gets here and it's ready to go. The problem with summer, if you get a wet, long summer and they can't do it, and then you're wanting to open the pool, so it just gets done, and you turn all that water running down the slides, and you take more of a chance of something getting coming loose, because you got water on it and has it cure time, it's too hard.
I guess what I'm saying is, we didn't need to do this before we would have opened this year. What led you to believe that we needed to get these slides painted now?
I didn't make that discussion, I don't believe it was you, Tom, somebody asked me to get prices, what it would cost to paint the slides. That's the only reason I got the quotes. I'm not saying you can do it.
I asked because I thought the slides were starting to look terrible.
Oh.
I was just asked to get quotes.
But I think last year we also had some kids that were getting nicks or getting little cuts on it, on.
Maybe that's what you two maybe up in there, it may be flaking now, maybe some stuff coming apart, but chipping off.
I think that was on that play structure slide.
It was on play structure.
That one, and then the holes in the paint, there's some of the holes in bad shape. I'm hoping they'll be able to sand them and save them, and we might come and replace them, some of them like some bubble rust on them, stuff like that. So, I just have to get the quotes, that's all.
Well, probably they needed painted like 5 years ago because they're just deplorable now, and it's not a very good attraction for our pool. We have to maintain them. And with that, I guess I'll make a motion that we accept the bid from Dryer.
Support.
We've got a motion of support. Is there any further discussion?
My only other discussion would be for Dan, again, on the process of this, to add this as a normal item, to find out how long this paint should last, and let's start having this discussion during budget time and not in the middle of the budget session.
Set up a preventive maintenance type of deal, more or less.
Roll call.
Lees,
Aye.
Waterman,
Aye.
Christie,
Aye.
Crowner,
No.
Knightmeyer.
Aye.
Motion carried. Item number 6 is consider amending the engineering service agreement with Snyder Associates for the South Lift Station project. The addendum is for a $36,000 lump sum and an hourly fee then not to exceed $25,000. And this is for oversight of the project.
Motion to approve.
Support.
Motion with support. Any discussion? Roll call.
Waterman,
Aye.
Christie,
Aye.
Crowner,
Aye.
Whitmire,
Aye.
Lees.
Aye.
Motion carried. Item number 7 is to discuss changes to the sign code regarding fin signs. I think if we're going to just address one part of it, we ought to address the whole thing and do it at a work session. And I think Andy was wanting to look at the whole thing, and so and set up a work session for it. That's okay with everybody.
Been there.
Good idea.
I agree.
Righty. And old business, consider purchase of the mass group notification system. That was from last meeting. And Brad's back.
Oh, so I talked with county on this. She was saying that she does have the capabilities. It's the notification system is bought through FEMA, so they monitor our stuff. So it's got to be an emergency, but that would constitute an emergency. But I would have to send her the information, and because she's not sure how to do the selecting of the map, she would have to send it off to the state, and who knows how long that would take.
They don't do any, they do only mass blasts now. They don't do any geographic areas at
They
the county
do,
level.
but she's not sure on how to do that portion of it. You're talking about for the text messaging, and then they also do, what's the other alert called for the phones? So it'll come across like a tornado alert. And those we definitely can't do because FEMA really looks at those. But we can probably do the text messaging, but by the time the state gets it, how long is he going to be already into jetting? You know? Sit. Sit.
Well, we waited this long.
And you saw mine that for me to do it, it would be a mass blast. I wouldn't be able to do the geographical location. And that would be using gateways. So you got vtex.com, you know, that you can send an email to and it'll send out, or uscc.net. So I would have to know the phone number plus the carrier in order to do it that way.
Did you look into the way I told you I used to do it through Twitter?
I did look through Google's APIs. I did not see how to do it on Twitter.
Okay.
I didn't see that.
And that was 10 years ago, so maybe they don't offer it anymore, but we used to do that for a restaurant.
Okay.
Where they would send basically a tweet out to through SMS text. So, and it was completely free to do at that point in time because it actually used Twitter's back end, not your phone.
Yeah. And Google has that, but now they charge on it because I looked into that because they used to offer it when they first had it in beta, but now they charge per message that goes out.
But that's all fine and dandy if you have a cell phone.
Yeah.
But if you don't have a
Nothing-
cell phone,
Yeah, these don't do voice whatsoever. That's straight text. And then same with Gina is straight text.
this program here would hit the regular landlines. right?
Yes, it'll call the landlines if that's what they want it to do. I guess, I don't know if we have any blind residents that would need to get a phone call, but you've also got your disabled that might need a phone call as well.
Mike, remind me how often you think we would be sending out these notices?
Trying to do our problem sewer replacement all spring. That's in the fall, I try and get every month. In the spring, there's some, I don't have a number for you, but there's some we have to get in, and there's, I think we have 5 that we gotta do several times a year.
And when you say do them in the spring, is this a 2-week process, a 1-day process?
Weather permitting, usually 2 weeks we can get it done.
So in the spring for 2 weeks, and then maybe back in the fall and the problem ones for a couple of days? Yeah. But I'll say again, I appreciate you doing the homework on finding this kind of system. I think having this ability is something that I think will be expanded as we go in the future and can have more communication like that. But if we kind of know these time frames and they're in a set 2-week period one time, and we can tell people when we're going to do it, and we have another time coming up in the fall, and we can tell especially those problem areas that we know when we're going to be doing them, then I frankly don't see the need for the text alert and call alert system when we can educate all year round on this is the time frame we're going to be doing this. Here's ways to protect your home from this issue. And even though we won't be able to tell them the exact day that it happens, they'll know, hey, these 2 weeks, we need to be careful. So I, at this time, would not be in favor of this for this point. But good to have that knowledge for the future if there's things that come up.
Yeah, I think the hard part is because it does the geographic. The only things that I could find that do the geographic location were the emergency alerts that are designed for things like first-person shoot, or not first-person shooters, but active shooters and stuff like that. And so they're kind of expensive in that because they have a guaranteed time of delivery on all these messages. And so I think we're paying a premium on that is why we're looking. And they also go off of the population of the town that we could have potentially, I think I told them 3,400 or something like that. I went off the old, what do you call it, the census.
Census.
Yeah, and so then that's the price they came back. Whether the user uses it or not, they pretty much bill you for it. So.
Well, if everybody feels comfortable not to pursue this at this time, maybe we just need to start looking at some of the other alternatives that is available to us, like, you know, everybody that does have the cell phones would more than likely have Facebook and other means of communications.
Well, I mean, we have the option, too, that I can make an app for the phone that we could do push notifications. I can make it for Android and iPhone, and we can do a mass push notification. Or we can do, like we said, where they give us the cell phone number and the carrier, and I can make an email list that Katie can email out, and it'll go to all the phones.
That still doesn't take care of
Of the people
the
who need the
90-year-old
voice,
that
yeah.
doesn't have the capability.
Well, those are the people who still listen to the radio and read the Hawkeye.
Yeah. But the Hawkeye's 3 days behind.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I could also always put something up on the TV channel, an emergency. I don't know who's going to see it, but
Well, some people do watch that.
yeah, I got quite a few people call when the computer crashed, so.
And if we know time, it could be in the
Yeah.
newsletter and.
on
yeah.
the
I know you do up there in Melville about this time of year. So, and I know those people expect it, and so, plus we can always put some door knockers out too. Get them. Okay, thanks, Brad, for
Oh,
looking into all
anytime,
this.
anything you guys need.
Okay. Anyone wishing to address the council on matters that we did discuss or didn't discuss tonight? I got a couple of things I do want to bring up. I should have brought them up earlier. We are members of the Des Moines County Communication Board. Jesse's on the advisory board and I'm on the control board. And the last couple of years, we've been discussing how the funding options could be handled better to fund DESCOM, which is all your 911 calls and service calls go to when you dial 911. Over the years, we've kind of contended that the board's budget should be run through the emergency management budget, and state code allows you to do that, and also be able to set a levy with that. The Board of Supervisors has been I'm going to say hesitant, which is a kind word, but they've been balking at that, and they presented a plan to the board the other day saying that they would take over all of the DESCOM budget, but they wanted a majority voice on the control board. Right now, the control board is made up of 3 members from Burlington, 2 members from the county, 1 member from West Burlington, and then another member that represents Danville, Middletown, and Mediapolis. And that board was expanded last year to include that extra member. Their proposal was they would take over all of the budgeting, run it through their county general levy, and but yet have a majority control on the board. Well, that wasn't very well received. So we had an attorney, the control board hired an attorney to look into, what the Iowa code actually says. And what they found out is that since 2012, the code was changed to where you no longer need supervisor's approval to set a levy. So, of course, the supervisors, they threaten litigation, and we're now working on seeing how we can go about getting this changed. I proposed a plan to them without having to go through litigation. And we're going to have another meeting here in a couple of weeks. But just to, keep you guys informed on what's going on there. The other thing, when COVID was really going strong, or when it first started, we had almost daily meetings through Zoom with the emergency management manager and through the county health department with those two and a member from the hospital. That kind of tapered off in the summertime, but now we're again having Zoom meetings on every Tuesday afternoon to having kind of an update from them. Gina, the emergency management manager, she's working on getting some more personal protective equipment for the Danville Care Center, because they kind of had like a little mini outbreak there. And she's also working on with the schools on new guidelines from the Department of Education on conducting safety drills. So Department of Education is wanting to do some different types of drills like fire drill or active shooter drills that, to where this has to deal with COVID. And Krista, and I think I got the number right, you listened in on that too, the county health director, she reported 695 cases of COVID in Des Moines County, which averages on a 2-week average is about 6.6%. And one other thing that she's looking at is the possibility of setting up a drive-through flu shot clinic, which would kind of be a trial run in if and when there's ever a vaccine that comes out for COVID, to be able to do that. At one point, they said they were going to contact me, but they haven't yet, about possibility of using the street shop to use that as a drive-through facility, drive in off of Mount Pleasant, go out, back on Gear. So I haven't heard nothing about that. And she's also working with the Department of Education on new guidelines that they brought out for quarantining siblings in case one catches the COVID and has to stay home, and how they go about quarantine the whole thing. And that's about it. So I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Meeting's adjourned. Thank you. We're going to have a work session here real quick.